what we have here is a boost. A signal boost. A boost for comic book Kickstarter campaigns. Brought to you by Spoiler Country. Each episode we bring you current campaigns that we think you should support, talk with the creators to give you insight into the project, and spread the love of indie comic books. Now sit back, grab a drink, and listen to what we have to offer you today.
All right, welcome back to Spoiler Country again. I'm Kenric. That's Johnny Horsley, and I said again because this is like the fourth time doing this today, and that's okay.
Doing our intro over and over again because we keep messing up.
Right, it's all me. It's all me, you know. But today's episode is a Kickstarter signal boost.
Yeah, number 7, baby.
Number seven, baby. And this is exciting because I really do think this is making a difference for some people.
I think so too. I really do. And this is the first time we've had more people submit to us than I've been able to get on the show. You know, and that to me, that feels good because people want to come on the show, and because I think it's actually helping these people with their Kickstarters, and I love just talking to these people, so it's exciting.
Yeah, it is awesome. I mean, because we've had people that came on the show that was on the verge of not funding, and then the next day they're funded. And we can't say that's because of us, but I can say it's because of us.
Right. It's 100% because of us, no BS.
Right. No, maybe. But I mean, seriously, there is some correlation to that. We can't say that's because of us. Like, honestly say that. But it has been a trend, and it's happened multiple times. So
it can't hurt.
That's right. I mean, the Ringmasters guys, they were way behind. I was worried that they weren't going to get it.
Me too. I was super excited when I saw they funded. That was awesome.
Yeah. Quite a bit. Like, they were less than halfway to their goal with, 24 hours left or something like that.
Like, a day or two left, and then they hit over goal, which is great.
Which is amazing. So today, we have 3 amazing people to introduce you to.
Yep.
We have Madeline Holly Rising, which is, I love her name. And
it's a very cool name.
Yeah, her project is the Boston Metaphysical Society.
Yep.
We have Alex Maday and Kaiju Gods, which
just sounds cool.
Yeah. And then we have Nadia Shammas with Corpus.
Yep. So let's take a listen to Madeline Holly Rising with Boston Metaphysical Society.
Hi, everyone. My name is Madeline Holly Rising. I'm the writer-creator of the steampunk supernatural comic, Boston Metaphysical Society. The original series was a 6-issue series that we finished up last year. And this year we have a brand new 34-page standalone continuation of that series called The Scourge of the Mechanical Men, featuring Granville Woods and Nikola Tesla, who are also part of the original series. And the story is about how they are forced to work together to combat a new evil that is threatening Boston. And
nice.
I do have a new artist on board this time. My original artist in the original series was Emily Hugh, who did a fantastic job. So fantastic that she has no time for me, and she's doing storyboards for Marvel.
Well, good for her.
So I know she's fabulous. I mean, she's fabulous. So trust me, I am so happy for her. I'm sure I could probably get her back to do some shorts. But yeah, she can't take on a full thing anymore. But my new artist, her name is Gwen Tavares, and if you've seen any of the art, she knocks it out of the park. She really captures the tone and the theme and everything. I was very, very happy to have found her through a mutual friend. So that worked out really well.
That's awesome. So where'd you get the idea for this storyline? Because I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I've been watching your posts about it and reading about it, and it looks interesting. So where'd the idea for this come from?
Well, the original series is about an ex-Pinkerton detective, a spirit photographer, and a genius scientist who battle supernatural forces in late 1800s Boston. Bell, Edison, Tesla, and Houdini also feature in the storyline. So in that 6 issues, it was a complete story arc, which finished, but left it open enough for me to go to other places
Okay.
with the characters. And I decided that for budgetary reasons, quite frankly, I was just going to do, say, 32, 34-page one-shots featuring 2 of the major characters in the future. It's just, production-wise, it's just easier to manage than doing a 6-issue miniseries. And so I wanted to delve into more of Granville Woods' life, who, by the way, is a real person, if you don't know that.
Mm-hmm. I figured based upon Nikola Tesla being the story but they were both real people.
Yeah, they're both real people. A lot of people don't know about Granville. I found him in my original research when I was developing the story, and thought, like, he's my guy. He's my guy.
Nice.
He's great. I've kind of brought him out of obscurity, which was really nice because he truly is a great American hero and an African American scientist that has gotten lost in history. He invented a lot of stuff. He specialized in railroad switching technology.
Okay.
And was originally from Ohio, but I brought him to Boston because I'm the writer and I can do that.
Right. You have the power.
Yeah, I have that power. And fun story about him. Edison claimed 2 of his patents. And
as Edison would.
It's typical Edison, right? So Granville sued him. Granville won.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's how egregious it was, you know. And then Edison offered him a job. Granville refused and ended up starting his own company with his brother in upstate New York. Flash forward like 5 or 6 years, I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and a young lady came to my table, and I started my pitch about everything. And she goes, "Oh, no, I know all about Granville Woods." I went like, "What?" Because that's pretty rare. And she says, yeah. She says, "I'm a law student, and one of my professors was into historical briefs, and he reads all these legal briefs from the National Archives, and he read that brief." And it turns out that that case set the stage for precedent of copyright and trademark law that we know today.
Interesting. That's cool.
It is cool because I realized when she told me that this gentleman who I found lost in history was one of the small sparks that led to the protections, the legal protections for every independent creator in that room.
That is cool.
And he's my guy. He's my guy. I was like so excited about. So anyway, I love telling that story because everyone knows Tesla, everyone knows Edison.
Yeah. That's a good story.
Yeah, I have to say that in the original series, most people's favorite character is Caitlin O'Sullivan. She's the medium and spirit photographer. But personally, mine is Granville because he's often the smartest guy in the room. Right.
It's fun to have the character that's the smarter than everybody else in your story to use that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And even though the leader of the Boston Metaphysical Society, which is essentially a paranormal detective agency, is Samuel Hunter, who is the ex-Pinkerton detective.
Right.
You know, he's smart enough to realize what he doesn't know. So, you know, he goes to, you know, he and Granville partnered up, and his original partner was Caitlin's father. But if you've read the first issue, you realize her father goes bye-bye pretty quickly. And Caitlin steps in his shoes for monetary reasons. You know, they're pretty poor.
Well,
so
gotta pay the bill somehow, right?
Excuse me?
So you gotta pay the bill somehow.
That's right. That's right. And she can't tell her mother that she's doing it. So,
jeez.
Yeah, her mother takes a dim view of all this spiritual ghost stuff.
I'm looking at the artwork for the current Kickstarter, and it's fantastic. You weren't lying.
Yeah. Gwen's done a great job. Yeah, this Kickstarter, I'm happy to say we are 172% funded.
That is awesome.
And we are just about ready to break our third stretch goal, make it. I'm looking at it here. We just got another one. We're like $16 away from making our third stretch goal. So, I mean, that's one of my favorite things is making the stretch goal so I can send backers lots of fun stuff, lots of goodies.
Right. That's the best part. I'm sure you'll hit that. I mean, you're not far away.
No, we will. I mean, we'll do that today, I think.
Cool. That's awesome.
And then we have more stretch goals. So yay.
You have 2 weeks left, so you're good.
Yes.
That is awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. And anybody listening out there, there'll be links in the description to this Kickstarter. Go check it out. Go back it, and it looks awesome.
Well, thank you very much for having me, John.
So that sounds like a cool story. So this is Tesla and Granville Woods?
Granville Woods, yeah, who was a scientist that was kind of lost in history. And one of the things in the interview that she was excited about was the fact that she pulled this character out of history and now is telling these stories about, these, they're fictional stories, but the science is there and the background is there, which is cool. It's pretty awesome. This is I think this is her second graphic novel, second or third, and she has other books in this series too.
That's cool. The cool thing when you have fiction like this, but you take historical figures, it makes people go back and read about those figures and learn.
Oh yeah.
So absolutely. It's not a bad thing at all. That's cool. That's exciting. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah. And yeah, she's one of the writers on the Irons try that again. She's one of my writers on the Irons anthology. She wrote a really cool 70s disco story that I'm excited to draw.
Awesome.
All right, up next is Alex Maday talking about Kaiju gods and his big monsters.
Yeah, Kaiju gods.
Hey everybody, my name is Alex Maday, and I'm one of the editors and creators of Kaiju Gods. It's a new anthology on Kickstarter. There's 40 original Kaiju or not 40. There's 14. I wish there was 40. That would be an awesome book.
There's a big book, man.
Yeah, that'd be a huge book. There's 14 original Kaiju stories, over 40 creators. And it's just kind of a cool collection of comics about kaiju we made up or original pinups. It's kind of an art book along with being an anthology. So it's really cool. If you love Godzilla, Pacific Rim, Kong Skull Island, any of that cool stuff, go check it out. It's for you. Some awesome stuff going on over there.
That is cool. Yeah,
Kaiju God.
Some of the artwork on this is just fantastic. I'm scrolling through the...
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I just kind of reached out to, like, instead of doing kind of like an open call for an anthology, I just kind of made a list of like everyone I've wanted to work with or like artists I really admire.
That's good.
And I just went to them with like, yeah, and I was like, hey man, will you mind doing this? And like a lot of them were like, yeah, man, they're not going to do this. And then I talked to them and they're like, yeah, actually I have like a kaiju story and I just haven't done anything with it. So yeah, this is perfect. Like, so I kind of got lucky because I think a lot of people had stuff that they were kind of saving for later stuff, and they were just like, well, this is better than nothing. I may never get it out if I don't do it. So I'm like, oh, cool.
No place to put it.
Yeah. So here's a place.
That's cool.
So it kind of turned out kind of cool. It's very diverse and has a good mix of all different types of art in it. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. I love monster stories, big monster stories like that. I love King Kong and that stuff. I didn't know they were called kaiju, or kaiju was even a thing until Pacific Rim. I had no idea. I even heard that term before until that movie.
See, I'd always watched like a couple like Godzilla films before, and I was kind of familiar with like Gamera, and I love Pacific Rim and stuff. But when I started doing this, I was like, man, I need to go back and actually watch like a ton of these, like, like these are the kaiju films you should know, and this is kind of the tokusatsu stuff you should know, and like, so I've been watching a bunch of like Ultraman and Godzilla.
Nice.
And there, it's like the more I watch, the more I love it. Like there's something I already kind of liked when I started this, and now I'm just like, yeah, I'm a diehard kaiju fan just from doing this now. So
awesome.
It kind of turned out pretty cool.
It's funny, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's also kind of cool because, like I said, my daughter's 4. I was telling you earlier, and she's been watching them with me, and she's like obsessed with Godzilla now, and like she loves them and stuff like that. Like she's got like a Godzilla figure in her room, and like
awesome.
She thinks like Godzilla keeps all the monsters out of her room. Like, so I'm like, Godzilla's like the god of the monsters. No one messes with him. So
that's awesome.
She's just like Godzilla is God to her. Like, it's awesome.
That's amazing. I had a big Godzilla toy as a kid too that I used to play with. It was like 2 feet tall that sat in my bed all the time. It's funny because my co-host is a big Godzilla fan, and one of the episodes we're planning on doing once I get the time to sit and watch them all is we're going to do an episode about Godzilla after we've watched all of them or most of them. And so I have to go back and watch all the old ones and get up to speed because he's watched so many Godzilla films, and he's like, we should do a Godzilla episode. And I'm like, sure, fine, I'll watch them. I'll get him and I'll watch them because it sounds fun.
I mean, Godzilla is like the ultimate rabbit hole because like once you start, like they just start branching off and going like. Then you got like Mothra and Rodan. They all have their own series and stuff. And then Toho started doing their own stuff. So it's like, man, like it's like I'm trying to watch these all, but I'm like, I don't even know where this begins and ends. Like there's so much of it. So, but that's what's awesome about it to me. It's just always been going on.
Yeah, there's so much of it. It's cool. And like, I don't know. I saw your post on this, and I saw the font you used for the logo and the art chosen for the background. I clicked on the Kickstarter, and I was like, man, this looks freaking cool. This looks like a cool book. And I love anthologies. I love taking a concept and seeing different people's takes on the same concept in a book, because I feel like that's just, I don't know, it's cool that way, you know.
Well, it's kind of funny because like we didn't really have a name for it, and Patrick Blaine that did the cover, who's fantastic. You should go even if you don't check out this Kickstarter, go look at Patrick's stuff because it's fantastic. But
yeah, that cover's awesome.
He was like, yeah, man, well, he was like, he's like, what if we name it like Kaiju Gods or something? And it was funny because like I had a story before that I was going to do that I hadn't started yet. But like once we kind of thought of that name, I was like, yeah, man, I dig this. And so my story is actually about a monk who finds a forgotten Hindu god named Malkath, and Malkath is like the god of like giant beasts and like megafauna and kaiju, and like he's just been like buried in this tomb. So this monk finds like the spirits of all these kaiju and kind of goes on this like crazy quest to like Shangri-La with like these kaiju spirits, and it's pretty cool. But I was like, man, I kind of want to incorporate some like religion or some like lore or something cool, like really look at these things like gods and like get into it. So like it kind of made me change my whole story, and I'm glad it did because now I came up with something a lot more unique than what I was going to do. So it kind of turned out pretty cool. But
it's cool when things work that way, where you have an idea and then it develops into something that's even better than what you originally thought of. It's awesome that works out that way.
Oh, for sure, man. I probably went through like 3 or 4 different story ideas that I wanted to do before I figured out this one. So
nice. So you're at 22. You have 22 days to go, and you got 120 backers so far at the time of recording this. So I don't know. I think you have a good shot of hitting your goal because this looks amazing, man. I saw this and I was impressed because, one, the artwork sounds good. Your pitch, the video pitch you did was really good. I like it a lot. I'm a fan. I'm on board.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's just it's a big goal, and so we're just kind of like every day figuring out like how do we bring in a couple more people? How do we bring in a couple more people? And it's just like it's always like baby steps to the end, and it's just I've noticed with Kickstarter, if you keep with it, like the closer you get to that goal, the easier it is to fund. So it's just kind of what we're doing. But
yeah. So anybody listening out there, just go to Kickstarter, search for Kaiju Gods, or in the description of the show, there'll be a link. Click on it, go there, check it out. If this is up your alley and you like big monsters, you know, like Godzilla and Mothra, and hell, even Power Rangers has big monsters in it. You know, I would say check it out. I'm gonna go ahead and get it back on this because I want to get a copy of this to read.
Awesome, man. And yeah, there's like funny stories. There's some horror in there. There's all sorts of crazy stuff. There's a story about 2 kaiju that are like having a date on the beach. Like it's just nuts. Like go check it out. There's just wild, crazy stuff. Yeah, it's totally awesome. I think it's something that everyone can love, and it's like a PG-13 rating. So for most people, but yeah, check it out. Like a bunch of us got together. We're all friends on Facebook and stuff, and we just made this cool book. So
yeah, it sounds awesome. Now, how many pages is it going to be? Do you know? It's
close to. I'm kind of like one story's kind of iffy, so I'm kind of waiting to see what happens with that. But it's kind of open if they can make it. So, but we're looking at about 180 pages. And I didn't go the traditional route of like trying to do like it's like a double-sized book. Like I kind of wanted like an old Japanese like kaiju pulp magazine that like kids could put in their backpack, or like you could carry on a con and it wouldn't be like weighing you down or like stuff like that. It can fit on most bookshelves. So I kind of went that route. I kind of wanted more of like a simple little trade. So
yeah.
Cool. But yeah, it's just a fun, crazy, cool book, and hopefully it gets funded, because if it does, I plan on doing more.
Nice.
So
that was my next question. If you had plans for future books after this one, which sounds like you do, which is awesome. It's good to plan ahead.
You know, I originally didn't, but the more, like I said, my daughter likes like Godzilla and all this stuff now, and it's like we go to the bookstore and stuff, and there's like really nothing like for kids and stuff like that. Like Marvel's got like a few books, I think, and there's like some comics here and there, but like there really isn't like a big, at least in America, there's not a big brand of like kaiju stuff yet.
Oh, it's not a good set of, it's not a good set of anything for kids. If you go for kids stuff, it's all super kiddie. It's not like, I don't know. I feel like when I was a kid reading comic books, like outside of the kaiju stuff, but just reading comic books in general, like I was reading, you know, Wolverine and Batman and X-Men, and while they were quote unquote more grown up themes, they were still geared towards kids. I don't feel like kids have that these days. If they do, it's like kiddie Spider-Man and kiddie Batman, and it's like kids don't want to read that. They don't read the kiddie stuff. They just want to read, you know, stuff that's cool.
Oh yeah, and even like I saw a post today, and it was talking about, I think it was like 80s kids, and it was like talking about how it's like they made cartoons off of like rated R stuff. Like there was like a RoboCop cartoon and all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's like a good point. So
they did that back then. Now it's like everything's all super kiddie, or it's just weird, and I don't know. I'm all for doing.
Yeah, now it's either
stuff.
Like adult or for kids. So
right. It's either Rick and Morty or it's Disney Channel. You know, I mean.
Yeah, for sure. Which, but yeah, so that's kind of, hopefully this goes well, and I may look into doing a couple more volumes. That's kind of my plan. Plus, like as I got into this, I kind of wanted to get into more like, I want to find people from like other countries and like different cultures and get into some weird lore. Like it kind of got me like really thinking about that stuff. And like I said in my Kickstarter video, it's like giant monsters have always been a part of like stories. Like every civilization since the dawn of time has like giant cyclops or like crazy sea monsters and stuff. So it's like there's just something about like giant strange monsters that are awesome.
I mean,
so
fucking David and Goliath, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's every religion, every like civilization, every history book. There's like Moby Dick. It can be a kaiju story. It's like a massive crazy whale just like murdering ships. Like it's awesome.
I would so read a retelling of Moby Dick where it's done as a kaiju tale and it's treated that way. That would be cool.
Well, hey man, you guys listen and fund it and I'll make it happen.
There we go. All right. Kaiju Gods on Kickstarter, links in the description. Thank you so much, Alex, for meeting with me and talking about the book. I wish you the best of luck. I really hope this gets funded. I'm going to share it out on our social media. It's going to be on the show. This will go up on Friday. I'll send you links to share it out as well. If anybody's listening, if you're interested in Monster Gods again, go check it out and give it a back.
Hey, thanks, John. Thanks for having me, bud.
All right, so what'd you think of that, Craig? I know you love Godzilla.
I do love me some Godzilla, so I'm interested in checking this out. So what did you say, 14 creators on it, 14 stories and 40 creators in this book. 40 creators on 14 stories.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And it looks fantastic. I mean, it's got stories from all the gamuts. You know, it's got serious stories, comedy. I mean, it's one of the stories that takes place on a beach between two giant monsters. You know, it's got all types of stuff in it. So it looks really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to read that. Do you know there's an interesting kaiju movie that was from North Korea?
Oh yeah,
and Kim Jong Il was the dad, or is it
Kim Jong Il was before Kim Jong Un is the one now. Kim Jong Il was the dad.
Okay, so Kim Jong Il actually went to Japan and kidnapped a director, and then forced him to create this movie.
I think I heard about that. I heard about that happening.
I think the director's from Japan. I might be wrong on where the origin of the director, but yeah, full on kidnapped him and forced him to create a kaiju movie in the vein of what is, you know, supposedly the correct morality for Northern Koreans.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, you can. I think you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up, guys. If I do find it, I'll put it in the description down below. And if not, then you have to find it yourself.
Yeah. So who's up next?
Last on the show, we got Nadia Shammas with Corpus.
Hi, my name is Nadia Shammas, and I'm the creator and editor of Corpus, a comic anthology of bodily ailments. Basically what Corpus is, it's a collection of comic stories from both new and established writers and artists that is about all the different ways that illness and healthcare can enter our lives. So we have a myriad of stories about mental illness, physical illness, healthcare experiences, surgeries, medical debt, caring for a loved one, peanut allergies, chicken pox, anxiety, any possible way that illness can touch a person. And the reason that I decided to create this anthology is because I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I had been recently ruminating about the way that diabetics are portrayed in the media, and also the way that healthcare debate is being handled in the media. And I noticed that there was a lot of dehumanizing language around it, and also a lot of silence on the behalf of people who actually live with chronic illnesses. So thinking about that representation, I was like, I feel like we can put these stories out there because I really haven't seen them out there.
I haven't either.
So I kind of put out the call and said, is anyone into this? And the response has been absolutely enormous, and I am able to work with so many new talented artists who are blowing me away, and also like really created people like Chris Sabella, Teenie Howard, Vida Ayala, Ryan Keaty, Ram V, all of these really amazing people who have taken the time to tell their own stories. So I think that there's something in Corpus for everyone, even if you yourself have somehow managed to never get sick in your life and never know a sick person. I think that
you're a lucky one like that.
Yeah, if you are the 1 in a billion,
right.
I think that kind of just because you're ill, it doesn't make you different. I think that Mason, even though these stories are very, very varied in the styles that they're being handled in their tone, in the subject matter, ultimately what ties it all together is about the tenacity of the human spirit. So if you have a human spirit and it is tenacious, you'll love Corpus.
That is a wonderful elevator pitch you just gave. I love it. I love the idea of this book because, I mean, who doesn't have some sort of illness or has dealt with some sort of illness, or either mentally or physically or anything in their personal life with themselves or someone they love. I've been through myself. I have anxiety issues myself, and I've had 2 back surgeries. So I have a bad back that I'm constantly dealing with, and it's kind of sickening in this country how it's so taboo to talk about mental health or what ails you, and it really shouldn't be. So I'm very happy to have you come on and talk about this on our show and help promote this, because I think this is important, not just because I think it's going to be good to read, but it's important to shed light on any kind of mental illness or physical illness and say, hey, just because you have some affliction to you that may be different than somebody else, or something that happened to you or something that's happening to you, doesn't mean you're lesser than anybody else.
Absolutely. I think one of the most shocking things was when I started to reach out to people. I did a combination of having people email submissions, kind of cold call, and also I approached people at New York Comic Con when I launched Corpus, and I was shocked about how I would go up to these creators who are very well known, creators who are my personal heroes, and I would tell them a little bit about the story, and they would say, oh yeah, I have this, or I've dealt with so-and-so, and I'm like, God, I never would have guessed, I never would have known. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? Is that illness is so prolific in our lives, but for some reason we just never talk about it. I know that there's part of it that has to do definitely with mortality. Nobody wants to think about mortality, but at the same time, I do think that a big part of it is there's this cultural problem where illness is seen as weakness. Yep. And if you have a lack of ability to, be a cog in the machine, so to speak, that you can't kind of, if you have anything that might stop you in the workplace or anything like that, it's seen as this kind of almost like a moral negative on your part.
Right.
We kind of have a weird thing where asking for help at all is a moral negative. I mean, we are the country of pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and if you actually did that, you would fall and crack your head open and die.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. It's even as somebody who has, some issues, and I have a disabled son, and I've been through cancer in my family, and it's always like I don't want to say things about having. Sometimes I'm like I don't want to tell people I have a disabled son because I don't want them to look at him differently. Because I know once I say that, they're not going to see him as a quote unquote normal kid. He's going to be the disabled kid.
Absolutely. I mean, I kept my my own diabetes under wraps for a very long time. And unintentionally, actually. It wasn't even that I was ashamed of being diabetic. It was just kind of this thing that it's like I intrinsically knew I wasn't supposed to talk about, even though I've been diabetic for my entire life. And that's absolute madness. There's no need for that.
It shouldn't be something you're ashamed of or something you think, oh, I should hide this cognitively. It should be, it's part of you. It is what it is, whatever, Yeah.
And, I think if we are too kind of frightened to say what we have and what we need, then it only makes it easier for people to deny us healthcare or to say